So I called the wedding off. I already canceled the venue. We're not getting married. It's over. I'm done.
Ed canceled our wedding without even telling me.
I would really want you to marry someone who is a born-again Christian.
Excuse me? Awesome! It's here, it's finally here, the confirmation that Ed and Liz really did not get married or even have a wedding. So let's just get right to it. We start off episode 6 of Happily Ever After with Liz sitting by herself with no Ed in sight. So of course the question is, where is Ed? What had happened? And the answer is just as ridiculous as we had all imagined.
Ed made dinner, taco pasta, but then Riley's dish was just way too spicy for her. And Ed pretty much just told her, stop being a baby.
The taco pasta led to a huge fight in front of Ed's family, and Ed was gone the next morning. So many times they said, Ed, don't mess it up. But we all knew that he was going to do it.
Don't up.
Do it.
And they were just a few weeks away from their wedding. Ed and Liz's family had even come together a month before the wedding. Ed had even had a heart-to-heart with Liz's mom. He really had everyone believing that he would marry Liz.
This is real, and I want to take care of Liz for the rest of her life.
But the craziest part about this is that we hear about this fight, Ed has gone somewhere else, but he didn't call Liz and say that it was over. The wedding was canceled. Instead, Liz found out from someone else.
I received a text message from our officiant telling me how sorry he was that the wedding was called off.
Wow, that is how she found out. I do not have a lot of sympathy for Liz in general these days, but I just want to reiterate how she got here. This woman has put up with Ed for years, and then she even moved away from an offered partnership and good job in California to be with Ed in Arkansas. She then invited her family to come out and wedding dress shop with her, and I'm sure that her family even had accommodations they made to come out for the wedding. She had even moved her daughter out for the summer to be in Arkansas with her and Ed. But then Liz now finds out that the wedding they have been planning, bought a dress for, is over.
Over stupid taco pasta.
And Ed didn't even tell her to her face, or even over the phone, or even over a text message. She found out from someone else.
Ed canceled our wedding without even telling me.
That is just mind-blowing to me. Like, that is the most insulting, disrespectful way to break up with someone. She didn't hear from her fiance, didn't even talk to her fiance. He just canceled everything without telling her. If you needed a reminder of how much of an asshole Humpty Dumpty is, there it is. And for Liz, in this case, I do have some sympathy for her. She's going to have to deal with feelings of embarrassment, regret, anger, all of that. But once she does, this is honestly the best possible outcome for her, really. I am so glad that the wedding is off, even though it was done in the most disrespectful and mean way possible. I mean, this was filmed months ago, so she's already shown that dropping Ed has been great for her. You can see in her Instagram, like, she just looks happier, healthier. She is no longer morphing into Ed. And I'm actually really glad to hear that the reason that this fight escalated is because she pushed back at Ed for calling her daughter a baby. Her daughter has acted more mature than either of them on the short time we saw her on the show, so I'm glad that when it came down to it, Liz came to her defense. The mucus man was not going to be the stepdad that Liz's daughter deserves. When I posted this video back on March 7th, one thing was clear. There was no evidence that Ed and Liz got married. Only evidence that Liz had moved on with a new boyfriend. But the annoying part about this, and I'm even more annoyed by it, was that there seemed to be planted stories from TLC producers to try to pretend like the wedding did happen. I mean, the biggest red flags is that there were no leaked photos and no one had any proof that the event actually occurred, and there was no marriage license. So out of respect for Liz, who just had her wedding surprise canceled on her, why pretend that it still happened? They say in this article, in the presence of friends and family, the festivities kicked off at 3 p.m. The guests had to wear bohemian-themed attire. This is like the biggest slap in the face to a woman who had her wedding canceled and wasn't even told it was canceled. Like, this did not happen. The wedding was canceled. I'm also glad that we're getting Liz's perspective during this and hearing the words straight from her about how this went down. She could have disappeared weird and we never heard her side. Because if we just heard all of this from Ed, I really don't think I would have believed the taco pasta story. Just like I had a hard time believing the story this woman told me. And this story is pretty much the same. The only big difference being that it wasn't a vegetable casserole that they were fighting about, it was taco pasta. So it is all really true. Their entire relationship ended after a fight about food. There were deep issues there, but that's the gist. And I thought the words vegetable casserole sounded stupid. Taco pasta sounds even more stupid. So as much as I believe every word Liz has to say about this, there are two sides to every story. So it's only fair that we hear Ed's, even though that we know his story will be full of BS.
The other day, Liz was just coming unglued in front of my sister because I made Riley's taco pasta too spicy.
So their stories really are pretty much the same, except I'm not sure about the part where Ed says that Liz completely lost it in front of his family. And why I think that is I don't think that Liz has ever really blown up when it comes to fights between her and Ed. Like, she does get upset during their fights and sometimes does yell, but she tends to either run away or try to understand what she did wrong and stay pretty calm. But I think what makes this different is this is about her daughter. He called her daughter a baby because her food was too spicy and she didn't want to eat it. So I don't know if Liz like really blew up all dramatically. I mean, who knows? But I think that for once, Liz really stood her ground and didn't just cry and walk away.
Liz getting this upset and yelling at me, I was embarrassed. She doesn't respect me.
And that, her standing her ground and defending her daughter, that was all it took. Ed got embarrassed that she didn't back down in front of his family. She finally stood up for herself, for her daughter, and that was the disrespect that Ed couldn't handle, which I find crazy.
I don't want to be around this anymore. I cannot live like that for the rest of my life.
So for like a split second during this conversation, I was like, you know what? Obviously, this was the best decision for everyone, right? The way it went down was dumb, but I'm glad this is finally over. But then I'm like, wait a second. Ed at this point in this scene hadn't even talked to Liz still. He's just like, okay, the wedding's off, on to the next thing. Like, it's no big deal.
So I got my deposit
So
back.
glad.
Thank
Good.
God.
He hasn't even told her that the wedding is canceled yet.
Hopefully, God will give me another chance.
You heard what he just said, right? Like, all of a sudden he's talking about God in front of his sister.
I would really want you to marry someone who is a born-again Christian.
If I had water or coffee, it would have just sprayed all over my desk right now. Excuse me? Yes, because this is Liz's fault that this didn't work out because she's not a Christian. Are you kidding me? Lady, your brother is an evil egg who preys on young, vulnerable women. What are you talking about?
Big Ed the Fly wants to remind you to subscribe to this channel.
You're my best view.
I had to take a few deep breaths and collect myself a bit after that. There is only one thing I can agree with here. It's that Ed says they would have been miserable together.
It wouldn't be a good thing for her or for me. No. Especially for me.
I'm glad they did not get married, period. They would have ended up divorced later down the line. I'm glad that Liz got out when she did. Guess what? Now we can have this couple who neither of them came over on a K-1 visa or did anything related to 90 Day Fiancé. They can finally be done and off the show.
You know, at the end of the day, I can't marry Liz. We're not getting married. It's over. I'm done.
So Ed makes a plan to meet with Liz and break the news of their canceled wedding.
It's not going to work. That Liz needs to go live her life, and I need to live mine.
I still cannot believe he didn't tell her before he canceled everything and she found out from someone else. Like, wow. I could see how that would end this for good, right? I made a prediction in my last video and it looks like I was right. The woman who reached out to me was right. They really actually tried to pretend like the wedding had really happened. And it did not. It did not happen. Let me know what you think about this. I am just glad that this really did end and they didn't drag out like a fake wedding the rest of the season. That would have been so stupid. And it looks like on the next episode, they do try to meet up, but this does not look like the coffee shop scene. Ed is holding a beer in a bar. So I don't actually know if he's meeting up with Liz in this scene. She just needs to pack her bags, get her daughter, and go. I would not even bother to meet up with him at all. She should just take off and never talk to him again. Again, let me know what you think and I will see you in the next video. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye!